Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Eating While Broke. I'm your host, Colleen Witt, and today we have very special guest, Doug Melville, in the building. He's an expert in reputation management, international diversity, and career pivoting. He's a lecturer at Stanford University, Forbes contributor, and best-selling author of Invisible Generals, interim CEO of Council of Urban Professionals, in addition to fellow podcaster at the Black Effect. DM me with Doug Melville.
That's right.
That's a lot.
Are you asking me or are you telling me?
That's a lot.
I got a lot of things going on, but they all fall under the mission to help make the invisible visible, to help uplift, and to help people make sure that their next step is their best step. So it's a lot of different ways to do that, and I have my hands in some different things, but it's all about getting the message across to different mediums. And I'm excited to be your fellow podcast partner in crime under the Black Effect Network. Yes. I am the newest member of the Black Effect fam.
Yes. Can you tell everybody what DM Me with Doug Melville is about?
Yeah, so my podcast, DM Me with Doug Melville, is really about working with people, bringing in experts, and listening to callers and people that download the podcast on self-help, easy, practical ways and advice to level up their current life through business, through culture, but also to make sure their reputations are on point and elevate them through inspirational guests who can come in and share their lived experiences. So it's a self-help podcast with practical, real-world advice.
I love that.
Everybody needs it.
Before I get into the tea of everything, Doug, I need to know what you're going to have us eating today.
All right, so when we talked and you said, Doug, eating while broke, I don't really cook. So the first thing was, oh boy. But then I realized when I was at rock bottom in college, junior year, and I really wanted to eat and I really only had a couple of shekels, I made a dish that has rocked my life and is going to take over TikTok, okay?
Okay.
And today's dish is chicken McNugget Parmigiano. See?
Oh, wow. It sounds fancy.
Chicken McNugget Parmigiano. So I know what you're thinking. I know chicken McNuggets maybe with caviar. Some people want them cooked twice well done, but not the chicken McNugget, a Parmigiano. That is when you put sauce, cheese, Italian seasoning, bake it in the oven, pull it out, and then pour it over a bed of rice. Look at that. This is big time right here.
So not only is it big time, but shout out to executing the goal of being broke. This dish was extremely affordable. Now, I know a lot of you guys know McDonald's does cost a lot. We are taping very early, so we did go to the store and just get a bag of chicken nuggets, put them in the air fryer. You could walk through all those ingredients for us?
Yeah, I would love to walk through these ingredients. First of all, I want to say, listen, if you really want to eat while broke, the key is you have to download the McDonald's app so you can get the discount McNuggets because you get $5 off the 20. You get a 10 minus 2.
I agree. Now we're just turning into a McDonald's promo.
No, I'm just saying, if this is eating while broke.
McDonald's, you better sponsor us.
McDonald's, listen, your chicken McNugget Parm, best secret off-menu item going. That's all
hilarious.
I'm saying. You over here selling with caviar, you need to sell with a little marinara dipping sauce and cheese that you sprinkle on, and people could make their own chicken nugget parm.
That was going to be my next question. Do nuggets matter?
I like the McDonald's nugget, but when I went to college, the nuggets were iffy. Now they're all white meat nuggets. People are going to McDonald's laughing, enjoying each one like it's delectable. But when I went to college, some of the nuggets were the dark meat nuggets, and I personally love dark meat chicken, but we had to buy 2 20-packs just to make sure all the nuggets were premium.
You're hilarious.
So, but now all the nuggets have been fixed, supply chain, evolution, quality of food went up, price too. But we're going to do it with the chicken McNugget. But if you just have regular nuggets from the store, the big batch, the Costco,
Yeah.
the one that comes in the 200
You're
bag.
hilarious.
You know, looks like it's like the size of the dog food bag. People are like, I got 400 nuggets from the Costco. You could use those too. So the key is nuggets is the primary ingredient. Then you have the Parmigiano, okay? Get the Reggiano.
Wait, is that supposed to be Parmesan? That's mozzarella.
You know, whoever's on this shopping list. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this mozzarella, freshly cut. This is freshly cut. I could, smells like Tuscany.
Yeah.
And then right here, we have rice. Now, the best part about this rice, it is still square, as if it was poured out of the
Container.
Chinese food container that I would order it from in college. So this is very, very realistic. We have the discount Italian seasoning. This is ingredient number 4. And ingredient number 5, the 3 cheese discount tomato sauce. Okay, so these 5 ingredients, we need either a sheet pan or a flat dish here, as this will be baked, and we can go ahead with the preparation.
Go ahead,
okay.
start.
So we feel just like I'm in Italy today. Okay, we're gonna do it without gloves. I know the internet gets wild, but we're gonna lay each nugget flat next to each other. Look at this. Oh my gosh, it smells Italian.
You and this Italian.
Well, it's Parmigiano.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Did you like chicken Parmesan growing up or something?
I did. I did. I like chicken Parmesan. I can't really cook, but when the money's on the line, I do love chicken Parmesan. And shout out to the prep chef here who put just enough nuggets to line the bottom with one extra.
I was going to say, okay.
This prep chef is on the mark.
Okay.
So first you line the cooking pan or tray with the chicken nuggets, okay? And they are fresh. Then what you do is you take this mozzarella cheese, okay? You could just sprinkle it. No exact measurement. You know, put it high, make it feel good, make it feel like this is your night out on the town. Look at this. Ooh, night on the town.
You're having
you could even
so
do
much
this.
fun in the
you gotta
kitchen.
even do this. Throw a little on it.
It's hard to imagine you don't cook.
I do not cook. Actually, I put a little more cheese. This looks a little light. But the cheese is really the key here. And you're
I'm
gonna
actually
spread
excited about eating this.
You're going to spread this over. You're going to do the whole thing here. Light, perfect. That's going to melt beautifully. Then we take the Italian seasoning. Now, don't open it with the big mouth side. That's too much seasoning.
That's
You got to do it
terrible.
with the one where you, and put it high, flip it high. People like it high. We are in California. People like something else high too. But anyway, we're going to put that seasoning on. And then we have the sauce here. 3 cheese. So if you add it, 4 cheeses. Are you checking for this?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. We're going to put the spoon in here. We're going to wiggle it.
I think you like cooking.
I don't cook anything at all. We're going to wiggle it, and then we're going to just, they call this a dollop if it was sour cream.
So you're putting very little sauce on it?
Yeah, we don't need too much sauce. I like dipping the sauce, so actually I would heat a little on the side. I'm a dipper, kind of like the au jus sandwich.
I thought this was going to have a lot more sauce than that.
No. Don't do too much sauce.
This is just mozzarella cheese and nuggets.
There is a lot of hate coming from this desk. Is anybody here at the kitchen here hearing this hate?
I mean, this is crazy.
Man,
I'm
this
going to
is
dollop mine. I'm going to soak mine. I thought this was real chicken.
Conflicting energy up
I
here.
can't wait to try this dish.
Yep.
I was thoroughly impressed when I first heard it. I said, oh, this is about to be stretchy and gooey and crunchy.
Yep, crunchy, stretchy, and gooey.
He put he's finally covering it. One spoon at a time.
When I came here today, they had no spoon.
Because we just thought you were going to lather
And I
it.
said, no. You have to have some
It's
grace.
looking good.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 spoon at a time, y'all.
One spoon at a time. Listen,
Let's just hope
Rome wasn't built in a day. And
Let's
let me
just-
tell you, chicken nugget Parmesan wasn't either. All right, so now that we got the sauce on here, we could put this back because I do have a little OCD. I like to put a cap on it, if you know what I'm saying. And I do a little more seasoning, just a touch, just to keep the spirit right. Okay, now we are ready for baking.
That looks great. I thought you were gonna do like sauce, maybe another layer of cheese, hook it up, make it all calorie crazy. But okay,
No.
my hopes are with you. Okay,
no,
and then
she's
so we're
really-
gonna pop it in the oven. All right, cool. We're gonna call cut. We're gonna put it in the oven, and then we're gonna get into Doug's story on how this dish even came about. So Doug, after watching you make that dish, and now I understand in my mind after watching you why you prefer the McDonald's chicken nugget over the regular nugget is when you buy the regular nuggets, they're usually breaded, and when you buy the McDonald's chicken nugget, they're fried, so they have that crispy shell.
Right.
The reason why I think you didn't put the sauce first, and these are my theories, guys, from a cook's mind, because it definitely didn't look logical, is you put the cheese first because you wanted to reduce how soggy the
That's
chicken
right.
nuggets got. And then maybe the little sauce was because you got some white in you. You got some caucasity in you or something. Because I feel like if the black would have,
No,
I don't know. Is that
really-
terrible?
I'm really getting stuck up on here. But this is the thing. You want the cheese to melt on the nugget for the crispness.
Okay.
So that's why I put the cheese on the nugget. And then you want the sauce on the top hot for the bubbliness.
Okay.
So I hear what you're saying, but we did do it in a little bit of a different order from a traditional like Parmesan setup. But we put the cheese on the nugget, then the sauce, but double seasoning. So I don't want to hear any more of these caucasity jokes.
Well,
'cause
you
the
only
double
chose
seasoning.
one seasoning. Respectfully. I'm sorry.
Well, it's
look,
It's Italian seasoning. What if we broke up the country
It's
into
so bad
northern
'cause-
Italy, southern Italy, the Amalfi Coast? This seasoning could be taking in all Sicily,
I love how
Capri,
you're.
all in one container.
I love how you're. I don't like when people make caucasity jokes to me either, but I just had to go there. You only had one seasoning,
Yes.
so you're gonna have to live with that. But Doug, tell me what was going on during the making of the chicken nugget, McChicken nugget Parmigiano.
Where was I in my life when this
Yeah,
was my
what was
go-to
going
meal?
on where it got that desperate?
I was actually in college. I was at university. I went to Syracuse University. And, when you're in college and your parents pay for your college so you don't have to get a job, but in exchange, you really live on a budget. Like
Yeah.
if you don't have to have a job at college because your parents are able to afford it, that's great. But you really are learning to budget, learning to save money. And we had a McDonald's near our campus, and I really wasn't good at cooking. But even when you cook at home, it's the same few things. You make a turkey sandwich, you went to Subway. Like it was so basic because you do it so many times. So I said, I love this McDonald's 20 nuggets for $5 deal that we used to have at our campus. And I said, if I went and I bought two 20-piece nuggets for $10, I could actually turn that into my favorite restaurant meal, which was chicken parm.
This is
So
hilarious.
I figured how I could get those nuggets. I would go to the store. There would be a sale that you would print out in the newspaper clipping. And then you would look at what's on sale. And there was always a pasta sauce on sale.
Yeah.
And there was always some seasoning on sale. So I would just get the pasta sauce, the seasoning, and whatever cheese was on sale, mozzarella or Parmesan sometimes.
Okay.
And the rice was from a Chinese food restaurant. I would just get the quart, $2 or white rice.
Yeah.
And I would come home and I would lay out the pan. And I felt like, I was really dominating my kitchen. I felt like I was actually cooking something, but it was really just chicken McNugget parm. But then I would set it up, put it in the tray, pull it out. My roommate was like, what is that? People used to come over and be like, what smells so good? Doug, what is going on? And what I used to do is I used to take a fan and I would blow the steam out the window so the whole dorm
Are you
could smell it.
joking?
I wanted everybody to know Doug is cooking chicken McNugget parm. And people would be like, I'd be like, hello. They'd be like, hello, Doug. I would look in the eye hole because I don't know who it is. Could be anybody from the dorm. And I would look through. They'd be like, Doug, are you cooking your famous chicken McNugget parm? And I said, come on in. That's why I had to get the two 20-piece nuggets because the neighbors are coming over. I can't eat 40 nuggets worth. But let me tell you what makes it so special. because the nuggets are already cut, you don't have to worry about someone taking the big scoop. You know how when you have chicken parm,
Yeah.
then and the whole chicken comes over
Yup.
and then you didn't really get any. Then you got to try to cut it at the dinner table. They gave you a butter knife. You should have had a steak knife. The whole thing's wrong. But with the nugget, individual. Look at that, easy.
I love this.
It was crazy.
I can't wait to eat this.
I'm just saying, this is what we were cooking.
You made that story sound like a beautiful, that was a beautiful story.
Yeah.
So what were you going to school for?
And then I graduated and never made it again.
Well, I'm sure at that point you were sick of it.
Once I graduated, I never made it again. So let me just say, this actually retired when I got my diploma.
Okay.
But I went to school for marketing. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what was the first job you had straight out of school where you don't have to eat this?
Well, actually, my first job right out of college, my parents just said, Doug, you have to get a job. The couch is closed. So when I was getting ready to graduate from university, my parents were like, we don't care what you do, but the couch is closed. You cannot come back home. So I was like, oh my God, I was under pressure. I'm stressing. I was undecided for 3 years of my college. So when I decided to major in marketing, because you can't graduate in undecided, I got a notice at the end of my junior year that goes, bruh, you cannot graduate in undecided. So I had to take summer school, and then I had to go finish school, and marketing was my major. But I had to get a job because my parents weren't going to let me live back home.
Your parents were starting to stick it to you strict,
Oh,
right?
no,
At 18, they were like, no money,
Totally.
homelessness. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah, my
We did our
dad's a
part.
judge, and he's really serious. And my mom, she's in education, so she's more of the, encouraging soft skill expert, if you will. But there was a job in our student hall, and under miscellaneous, there used to be a category of miscellaneous jobs in our job board posting. So one day I go audition for this job. I go for the interview, the job. The people are on campus. And I call my parents and I go, guys, I got a job. They were like, what? You got a job? What's the job? Driving the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. That was my first job out of college. I drove a 27-foot hot dog to 48 states. I got to go to every state in the U.S. for 1 week. The job is 52 weeks, 4 weeks training. I had to go to Hot Dog High in Madison, Wisconsin. You have to learn everything about hot dogs. You have to go to the plant. You have to go to the farm. You have to go to everything. And you learn how to drive the Wienermobile. So there's 6 Wienermobiles.
But did you have to cook in them?
No, you don't cook any hot dogs, but you have to know because you're a brand ambassador for Oscar Mayer.
Oh, okay.
So what it was you go around the country and you sing the hot dog song and the Wiener jingle at different supermarket openings, the Piggly Wiggly,
You had to sing?
the Kroger, the
hilarious.
Ralphs, and we would audition children for the opportunity to be stars in the Oscar Mayer Wiener commercial by singing the Wiener jingle and the bologna song. So there's 18 people with this job, 6 Wienermobiles, 3 people on each Wienermobile, and you crisscross the country and you audition kids throughout the year. And at the end of the year, some young families and children and the whole thing get a $50,000 scholarship and the opportunity to sing in the commercial.
This actually doesn't sound like a bad job for someone.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and did your what was your parents' response?
You make bad decisions.
Did they even ask how much? I love how you blew, because that just showed how
They did not.
annoyed
My
they were.
parents were like, we paid all this money. I went to Syracuse. My dad's like, do you have an obsession with the color orange? Who would drive a hot dog? And then he would put us in these hot dog jumpsuits. They would call them flight suits. And we all had to have a hot dog name. So I was Hot Doug. And my partner was Annie Bologna and Lindsay Lunchable. There was 3 of us.
I
in
love
the
this story.
Wienermobile.
So did your parents at some point say how much were you making? Was the pay worth it?
It was $27,000 a year. But this is what the thing was. What I took that job for was I knew that experiences would be something I was more attracted to than sitting at a desk. And to be able to go to all 48 states for 1 week, your first year out of college, I today still don't even know anyone who's been, well, actually one person in my Stanford class this year said that they had been to all 50 states, but I really meet no one that has been to all 48 states.
I was going to say, as a young person, honestly, like, that sounds like a really great job.
It's amazing.
And you don't technically have to have a place to live.
So they pay for a hotel every night. You get a per diem every day. And you would just crisscross the country. And how we got paid was whoever got the most media impressions will get the largest bonus. So your job was to call newspapers, websites, television, local broadcasts, and try to get people to cover the Wienermobile. So you'd be like, hey, the Wienermobile's rolling into Rancho Cucamonga. Come on down to the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes game and audition your child to be in the next Oscar Mayer commercial. We'll be there Saturday and Sunday during these 2 games, 6 to 9, blah, 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 blah.
I love that as a marketing major that was your first opportunity, because I think there's like a part of the mind that says, oh, I need the big wig job behind the desk and the fancy pay. But there's nothing better than like grassroots marketing as an intro to marketing. And
I got to see the whole United States, meet people in every state. And because there was 6 Wienermobiles, it was a little competitive against each other. So everybody was, who would get the most media impressions? That's the whole job.
Did you get the most?
I got way the most. Yeah. But
He's like, I killed it.
I killed it. You know what I did though? I had the LA region and I would go to movie premieres with the Wienermobile. Lethal Weapon 4. If you go online and find a video, they thought I was supposed to be there. I rolled up with the Wienermobile and did an interview on Extra. And that blew everybody out of the water. But because no one thinks someone didn't call it. When the Wienermobile drives up, everybody's like, did you order this? They're like, Gus, did you get this? Bob, Steve, Jan. Everybody's calling everybody as I'm going, can I go through? And by the time the Wienermobile had pulled up to the red carpet, I was doing an interview for the show. No one knew I wasn't supposed to be there.
That's brilliant.
So I would do that at movie premieres one after another until people were just like expecting the Wienermobile. But my media impressions blew everybody else out.
Wow. So how long did you stay with the company?
So that job is 1 year, 4 weeks of training, 48 weeks on the road. So when I was done with that, I was trying to get another job and it didn't go so well. So
did you end up calling for the couch? Did you call the couch? I thought the couch was out of commission.
My dad begrudgingly reopened the couch. He had transformed my bedroom into my mom's office or the family. He didn't care what it was transformed into, but it wasn't going to be my bedroom.
Damn.
And I'm on the couch for 3 months, and I'm on the couch, and I have very limited opportunities. But I had interned between my junior and senior year for Quincy Jones. And my manager was this guy, Mike Prasad, who now runs the Council of Urban Professionals, where I serve as the executive director. But he was the man I interned for when I was in college. And there was another individual, Jay Brown, his brother, Kyrie Brown. So I knew these guys for many years. And when I got done with the Wienermobile, I called back to one of the guys, Kyrie, and I said, you know, is there any way you can help me get a job in music? I said, you know, anything I can do, like, and he was like, what was your experience? I go, well, I traveled around the country in the Wienermobile, but I had got rejected so many jobs before that I just said I had traveled around the country as a tour manager. I didn't tell him exactly what it was for.
Oh my goodness.
So he sets me up with an interview at this law office, 8 a.m. They go, Doug, go to this law office and you're going to do an interview at this law firm. And I was like, what's the job for? He goes, Doug, just go down and talk to this lawyer. He works in the music industry. Just go down and do the interview. So when you don't have a job and you live on your parents' couch, my mom's like, Doug, did you brush your teeth? And my dad's like, you know, do you know how to tie a tie? And, you know, everybody's really into making sure you get this job because we got to get you off this couch. So I go down to the city because I'm an hour away in Connecticut. I get off the train. I walk to the job interview, and I arrive at 8 o'clock for the interview. 8 o'clock, I check in. How you doing? My name's Doug. I'm here for the job interview. The woman behind the desk, her name was Jen. I was like, she's like, I asked her name. How you doing? Oh, my name's Jen. Hey, Jen, I'm Doug. I'll just be over here in this seat. She's like, oh, okay. I love your energy. You're so happy to be here at 8 o'clock in the morning. I said, I got to get off this couch. It didn't matter what was going to happen. I was hyped right there. So 8 o'clock goes by, 8:15, 8:30, 8:45, 9. I'm laughing at Jen. She's laughing at me. Guy's still not here. 9:15, 9:30. 90 minutes late. The guy shows up who I'm supposed to interview with, drops his briefcase in the office, goes back to talk to Jen, comes back to me and goes, Doug, let's go down to Starbucks and get a coffee. So I'm there 90 minutes. No one's really said anything to me. We get down in the elevator. The Starbucks line, we're in Times Square, was so long. He goes, Doug, you're going to hold this chair and I'm going to wait in line. What do you want? The man waits in the whole line, comes all the way back. Now we're in a chair. We are at 10 o'clock right now, okay? Mm-hmm. The man hasn't said anything to me. We sit down at the desk and he goes, Doug, I just want to tell you that you passed the interview. And I said, what? And he goes, in life, how you judge success and how other people judge success in you are two different things. You are the 27th person we call for this job. You don't know the job. You don't know me. And I showed up 90 minutes late for every single person to see who would complain, who would yawn, who would check their phone, who would ask Jen when I'm coming. And you were the only person that did not yawn, did not ask Jen for me, did not complain, and sat in that seat focused. So for that, you will be the first person I offer the job. Changed my whole life. Changed my whole life.
I'll tell you right now, I would have failed that test with flying colors. Boy, I would have been like, are you sure? When is he coming? That's crazy. So what was the job?
So I get a one-way ticket and I land on the tour. Britney Spears Hit Me One More Time.
Get the freak
I
out.
am the assistant tour manager. He goes, you traveled around the country. You got the green light from the Quest Records Quincy Jones family. And you're available right now. It's a young tour. It's all teenagers. I airdrop on the Britney Spears Hit Me One More Time tour as an assistant manager. And my job was to oversee the opening act. Michael Frito, there was other singers on the tour, and my job was to make sure the opening act and everybody associated with them were tight, right, put together. We rehearsed, everybody ate, everybody had hotel rooms, and that was my job on the tour. So the tour manager sets up the production of the tour, and then Britney herself has someone to work with her dancers and all those individuals, and then I would work with the opening acts. So I'm assistant tour manager on the Hit Me One More Time tour. And I was 21 years old. She was 17 years old. It was her first tour. It was really everybody's first tour. All the dancers, I had to learn everything. All the dance routines, everybody's outfits, how to check people in, catering, the whole thing. And then the next thing you know, I'm traveling around on a tour bus with full catered meals. We're staying at the Four Seasons. And I and all my friends are like junior associates. And I'm over here and they're laughing at me driving a Wienermobile last year. And now it's like, how about now?
That's hilarious. Now, going back, I'm just curious. You didn't go up to Jen one time and say, does he know I'm here?
No.
What were you doing? Were you
so
on your
focused.
phone?
Nope. Because the thing about it was,
So you knew you couldn't go to the couch.
That's what I'm saying. So you're
your
not.
Your parents. Let me tell you something. I got to shout out to your parents because, I like that your dad even took the initiative to shut down your bedroom.
Oh, that was already under construction.
Because I think that the level of uncomfortability is what probably even motivated you more to be like, I can't come home.
You know when you can't come home. And my parents kept saying, Doug, take any job. Just do anything. And this is what I would tell
Oscar
them.
Myers back.
They wanted me to call Oscar Mayer back. I was like, I can't do it. And they said, Doug, just take a job. And I said, guys, job stands for just over broke. I have gone to college and I am going to have a career. And why paint colors on your canvas just to have to go back and repaint them? Leave the canvas blank. So I'm going to be right here on this couch and it'll all work out. And I tell you, when I landed on that tour, no one could believe it.
What did your parents say? That obviously wasn't the...
My mom was like, that's my baby. That's my baby. When is she coming to Connecticut, Dougie? We got to go. We were up in New Haven. My mom has signs and stuff.
Let me just tell you something. I'm a closet Britney fan.
Yeah.
I was never out of the closet with it, but best believe when them CDs dropped, I was listening to them as long as no one knew. Because,
Britney Spears.
Britney's cool, but as a black, you ain't trying to,
Well, the thing was, I still make sure I sing to Britney Spears songs in karaoke.
Really?
Yeah. Well, when all the controversy around her came up, you have to make decisions in life because, you hear stories or you have lived experiences. And that was such a powerful time. We were all young, 17, 18, 20. I was one of the oldest people on the tour. You're 21, 22. It's all young. No one knew it was going to
I'm surprised
break.
there was so many young people around.
So many young people. And it was hard to, manage everybody because everybody's traveling around the country and free. You're 20, you're a dancer, you work an hour a day or less. You have the whole day, food's catered, you have a driver,
you have
expensive per diem. You're really, this is good living. This is good living.
This was awesome. And no parents?
No parents. So I got to see the country again. Like one version was in the hot dog. Mm-hmm. Now I'm in the Four Seasons. You know what I'm saying? I remember when I checked in the Four Seasons here in Beverly Hills, it was the nicest hotel I ever stayed in my life up until that time. And I remember I opened the shades and I stuck my head out the window and I turned to the right and it was Conan O'Brien. He was in the room right next to me. And I remember him looking at me on the balcony and I was like, oh my God. And he was like, and I was like, I'm staying in the same hotel as Conan O'Brien. And meanwhile, he still has the late show, but I was so excited,
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
So what did you end up walking away learning from that experience?
So my biggest learning from that experience is know the people you're with every day. When you're a tour manager, you have to know everyone's role in case someone gets sick, someone has to get swapped out. You're on the road, so you have to deal with finite resources. So you have to know everybody's job. What does the talent person do every day? How do we prep the radio station winners? How do we contact families and friends? How do we make sure everybody has their guest passes? But it's how do we check everyone in the hotel? How do we make sure everybody's uniform is clean every day? Then people would gain weight or lose weight on the tour. How do we get everything hemmed? Then you have the hair and makeup people. Do you know if someone calls out sick, who's the backup? I was learning jobs I didn't even know. I was like, eyebrow technician. What? That's a job, but that's like actual someone's role. It was a huge learning for me. Mm-hmm. But the point is, when the tour ended and everybody kind of goes their own way. So when you're a tour manager, your role ends when the tour ends. Mm-hmm. You could go on another tour, but sometimes people get excited like you're always going to work with the artist, but it's really just for this amount of time. Mm-hmm. So we did Hit Me One More Time. We did Drive Me Crazy. And then when the tour was over...
Please don't tell me you went back to the couch.
No. Well, no, I didn't go back to the couch. When the tour was over...
and the pay was good?
The pay was $650 a week. It was not good.
Was that less than the Oscar Mayer people?
Probably.
But you had better accommodations.
It was the best time of my whole life.
Okay. Damn.
You can't, come on. You're on a tour, you're living the dream.
I can only imagine.
It started getting crazy when people started going into the dumpsters to pick out things to put on eBay. So like as the tour kept going on, because then, In Sync joined a turn, 98 Degrees, LFO. So we started to get a lot of people on the tour, and then people would stand near the dumpsters, like when people would throw out their food or, whatever, they would wait and they would put it on eBay. So like it started to get like really weird at the end. In the beginning, it was normal. Like, we're all happy to be here. At the end, it's like, whose pizza has these teeth mark on it? It's like, what is going on here? But then the tour was sponsored by Tommy Hilfiger Corporation. So they had been sending us clothes, and when the tour was at the end, they had said, Doug, you're responsible to get all these containers of clothes back to New York and drop them at the Tommy Hilfiger office, right?
They wanted the clothes back?
Well, some of them because they're iconic. Okay, it's like the jean suit and, it's other pieces of clothes that were kind of could be historical because this was a moment where people were like, Britney Spears.
Yeah, Britney Spears was massive.
It was huge.
Yeah.
So certain containers had to go back to the New York office. So I get all the containers and I meet Tommy Hilfiger and his brother. And I didn't really know that they were real people per se. Like of course, you hear the name and you know they're real, but it was like, are they like actual people that will come up to you, or is this like a computer generated situation? And I meet Tommy and Andy Hilfiger, and that's his brother, and they say, Doug, what do you want to do when the tour was over? And I said, I would like to help entertainers create, their what they do outside of work, or maybe like ideas that they have. And they were like, Doug, that's called passion projects. I was like, yes, I would love entertainers to create their passion projects.
Okay.
So then they went on to tell me that their nephew was the opening act of the tour, Michael Frito. And they had asked him if there was one person that the family should hire to work for them from the tour, who would it be? Because their lawyer was the same as the lawyer that interviewed me. And how you evaluate success for yourself and how others evaluate your success are two different things. They had their nephew evaluating people that worked on the tour, and when the tour ended, which person should come work with the family. So they invite me to work with the family.
I'm learning.
So they invited me to work with the family.
Wow.
And I ended up working with Andy with his Hilfiger Entertainment group. It was called Andy Hilfiger Entertainment. And we would work with the artists that weren't signed to the Tommy Hilfiger corporate label and help them develop their passion projects.
They actually gave you a job doing what you love?
Exactly. And we're still friends to this day. I mean, Andy's my first mentor because Andy started Tommy Jeans. So he was the one who worked with Kadada Jones to dress Aaliyah. He was the one who put the rugby on Snoop Dogg. He was the culture guy, where Tommy was the suit and the business and the designer. Andy was the relationship and the culture and the music guy. So that was the same relationship they had as they were going through the rooms, and they brought me on the journey to work with them to do artist relations. And that was where they taught me fashion, music, margins, entertainment, relationship building, how to meet people in a room, how to greet people in the room. And Tommy would always say to me, you pay for what you don't know. So that was my learning from Tommy.
You pay for what
you don't know. If you don't know law, you have to pay a lawyer. If you don't know medicine, you have to pay a doctor. He was like, you're thinking like an employee, but you need to think like a CEO. You need to be the CEO of your own business, Doug. He's like, you have to think like you control your environment, because you're trained in school to think like an employee.
Yeah.
But most of the great entrepreneurs in America dropped out of school because they're not training you to think like a CEO. So he was like, Doug, you have it in you. You just have to think like a CEO, and that you're the CEO of your own life. So after I was working with them for several months, Tommy goes, Doug, you know what I want you to do? I want you to start your own business. And they gave me $5,000 to incorporate and start my own business. And he goes, instead of you asking me for a job every day as a full-time employee, and instead of you applying for all these jobs, why don't you become your own business, and then you set your own rate as an advisor? He goes, how much are you worth? And I said, I don't know. He's like, you're worth $25,000 to $30,000 a month. Start a marketing company, set your rate at $25,000 to $30,000 a month, and I'll make sure we have a company that hires you, and you could be our artist relations and marketing consultant. And I started a company that he gave me the money for. I incorporated it, and next thing you know, I was hired as my rate, and that's how I started my marketing company. It was called Off the Bench Marketing. I started with my best friend, Bill, and we grew an entire marketing company, employees, the whole thing, from helping people build out their brands, build relationships, and improve their reputation. And I ended up doing that for 7 years. And that's how I connected, through the insight that they gave me. You have to set your own rate. If you do not value your time, no one else is going to value it. And that was what he was trying to get me to understand. When you go to college, you learn how to take command. It's like going to the military. But when you're on your own, you think like a CEO. But if you're going to try to get that $45,000 job just so you can get benefits and health insurance, I call it the BBL. People want benefits, bi-weekly direct deposits, and a lifestyle. Everybody just wants a BBL. But the thing is, you need to actually get your worth. And it's not for everybody. Not everybody can be Frank Sinatra. Some people have to be the band. But the important thing is, if you see someone who sees it in you, listen, lean in, follow your gut. So when I started my company and started charging $30,000 for companies or $25,000 to advise them, next thing you know, I get hired to do MTV's off-air marketing, Punk'd, Newlywed, Pimp My Ride, all those shows. And they were like, Doug, could you help us develop our off-air marketing? USA Network called me for the Monk. Other networks were calling me. Tommy Jeans I worked with. So what I started to do was do my superpower with these other companies. And now I'm billing $30,000. I'm $200,000, $300,000 a month. I was in my 20s. My friends are literally making 45 grand a year. I bought my first house in my 20s. 2 Benzes in the driveway. I mean, I know it's not like the whole thing, but I didn't have anything. My dad was like, what is going on? He's like, what do you actually do?
But wait, let's backtrack. I am curious though. Did you ever have a talk with them and ask them, what in particular about my characteristic stood out to them? Because both, was it Michael? Who's the
Andy and Tommy?
No, before Andy and Tommy.
It was
the head
Mike
guy.
Prasad.
Yes.
Yeah, Mike
and
Prasad.
Then the guy on the tour, Frito, right?
Yeah, Mike Frito.
Both Mike.
Oh, both Michaels, yes.
Okay, but we found something they have in common.
Yeah.
But what was the characteristic? No, I'm serious. Your story is so amazing. Like, I'm trying not to be speechless. What was that characteristic that they saw in you that stood out? Did you ever ask them?
Yeah, actually, Andy just stopped by my podcast. He was one of my first guests, and he was like, you were so kind, and you were so relatable, and you were so authentic. Like, I'm just trying to do the job, and I'm trying to manage all the egos, and I don't really want any problems. But I lead with inspiration, and I lead with vision. Now, some people would like you to lead with operations, but there's nothing to operate if there's no vision. So I tell people, before you focus on, one foot in front of the other, let's focus on the vision. Where are you going and what is the opportunity? Now, once you know where you're going, you can get there, but everybody's just driving around. No one really knows where they're going. Yeah. They taught me, what is your vision? And my vision was to help entertainers create their passion projects. Now, entertainers became networks, entertainment. But the moral of the story was, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to make good great, and I wanted to make better best. I am most efficiently used when something's really good and I can make it great. Wow. And I found that was my corporate superpower. But you have to get there if you're going to build your own company. And that's why you need a support team or someone to nudge you or give you the right advice. See, in today's world, you have social media, you have AI, you can build the maps and design it on your own, where back in the day, you had to actually find somebody.
Yeah.
So now you have a huge advantage. But now that you have that huge advantage, do you still have the vision though? See, that's the part you have to really lock in. Where do you want to be in 5 years from now? So there's a test. I have a coach. His name is Rob Schwartz. He came on my podcast as well. And he is my career coach. He's a CEO coach. And he has a tip that he gives. And this is what I tell everybody. He gave it to me. I'm going to give it to you. It's called the 10-10-10 theory. When you have a decision that comes up in your life, you need to do the 10-10-10 exercise. What will the decision feel like in 10 minutes, 10 months, and 10 years? Puts everything in perspective. If you say no, is that good for 10 minutes? Because you could go to dinner tonight with your girls. But what will that be in 10 months and 10 years? So every decision you look at in 3 different ways. And then you could help make your decisions quicker with more frequency, because you have to live by this rule. either you complete the thought or delete the thought. You have so much running around in your mind. You're asked to know everything. How to unlock your Tesla. What's the stock price for Intel? How do I make chicken a Parmesan nuggets?
Hopefully it's not burning, by the way.
You have so much going on in your mind that you are forgetting things, but you sit things dormant. So you have to do an exercise called complete the thought or delete the thought. You take everything in your mind, you take a big sheet of paper, make a line down the middle, and write down everything in your mind. And then you ask yourself, are you going to complete that thought or delete that thought?
Delete, delete, delete.
Delete, delete.
What I also find interesting is very early on, your first couch visit with your, well, technically, your first couch visit with your dad. One of the things that you said that stood out was the job comment to your father, the just above being broke.
Yeah, just over broke.
Just over broke.
Yeah.
Where did you pick up that line from?
I don't know exactly where I picked it up, but it's very important to know that when you pay for an education, you should be investing in your career. But people interchange the word job and career. But job stands for just over broke. You could pay for your expenses.
And that's why they kept saying job, and you were like, hell to
no,
no.
No. Because, you know, when you have nothing, your parents are like, just get something.
Yeah.
Anything's better than nothing. But my argument is no, anything is not better than nothing.
I love you for that. Now, okay, so you finish the tours, you start your own agency. Where along now, I'm going to take a guess, Forbes comes up next?
No, after I started, you know, working with those entertainers and having my own marketing company, I get a call from a friend of a friend who works with Magic Johnson. And my superpower was writing business plans that you're able to just, you know, draft and then send to people. So I would read the trades and be able to draft business plans to people. And people would be like, man, these business plans are good.
What's a trade? What do you mean read the trade?
A trade magazines. Like it would be like, blah, blah, blah is partnered with so-and-so and so to launch a new project.
Okay.
So I would read that and I would just find out who their agent was or manager. And I would say, hey, just read this story about what you were building. Here's a full business plan. It was like 30 pages. I'm going to Kinko's. I'm putting them in the machine to be laminated and I'm mailing them out all over the United States. And all I get back.
You were doing this on your own?
For free.
Wait, and why were you doing this?
Just to practice being better at my craft.
I love this interview. I love this interview. I can't
and
wait
I'm
to eat
mailing
this.
them. No,
the nuggets are going to be that much better.
Listen, once the rice doesn't look like the shape of the container, I know we've made it.
Okay.
We're eating well middle class.
Do we want to check on the chicken parmesan? Just to see if the sauce is bubbling?
So I start writing these business plans and I get the same letter in the mail from everybody. No, unsolicited, rejected.
Did they actually read them?
I don't know. We just got like...
That's a lot of work to get rejected.
Yeah,
business plans are hard.
Exactly.
And this is before AI, guys. Because trust me, AI, I would have banged out some bangers too.
No, this was real business plans.
I know because I've written them and they are not easy. Do you start I'm just curious, do you start from the back? Because I feel like... You start from the top. I start from the top and then I go to the back.
Colleen, never start from the back.
Oh, you're...
Just...
I love you, Doug. We were meant to be. We were meant to be, Doug. We were meant to be. Okay. So tell me the correct way, okay? I didn't go to college for formal education. I'm a Kanye West, okay? I learned by
there's
Google.
There's a place for everybody.
Okay, so how do you properly do a business plan?
So you write the executive summary. Oh, look at that. Okay, Kanye.
I know because I used to write them when I was like 20. My grandfather used to make me write business plans for all my businesses. That was his thing. You got to write a business plan. I did like this is what I say. What I learned and why my grandfather wanted me to do it is a business plan definitely covers all the possible surprises that we don't predict in a business. And I like the formality of the layout. But, you know, coming from being broke, you're like, okay, executive summary, got it. What's the math looking like? And, you know, that's the last chapter. And it's always like, oh,
you do have to do the math. You have to do the strategy. You have to do your competitors.
But you don't think it's easier to go executive summary, math, and then you see the math and you go, oh, I didn't cover that, and then go back to marketing and strategy and go, okay, to hit these numbers. This is why I do it the way. So I'm curious from a professional.
You would do the next thing up is the what is the aha? What is the spark? What is what makes this idea uniquely you? But the issue is it can't be yourself. It actually has to be something that's like the asset. Is it a trademark, a patent, an angle, a color scheme, a package design? There has to be some entry in. Then once you know that, then you look at the competitors in the market and you try to see, okay, where are they selling their product? What's the supply chain? What's the odds they could steal this? What's the odds you could duplicate it? Then you figure out at what level of sales will a competitor look at this and see you as a competitor? Because when you have so few sales, no one's really paying attention to you until you show up on the radar. So you have to figure out, how many sales do I have to get to be on the radar? Then you figure out if you can actually pull that together. Who would be the marketing team? Who would be the sales team? What's the business model? And then you do the numbers. So you wouldn't do the numbers until you actually have a few more pieces together so you could figure out exactly what the numbers look like, because you have to be as close to guessing as you can.
And with a business plan, this is coming from a broke mindset. I have to keep saying this, because when you start out as an entrepreneur, you do think from the perspective. Now, shout outs to Cup. I have to say shout outs to Cup, because I did learn a lot in literally one meetup with Cup. So now my mindset is changing as of last night. So we're going to give me some grace. Okay, that's good. But from this mindset, you think of, what can I actually accomplish as an entrepreneur based on my bank account, based on who I know or whatever. But when you do write a business plan, are you supposed to write it as though I have the capital that I need behind me and I can hire the best in this industry?
No. The way you should write the business plan is that you partner with your biggest expense. When you write a business plan, the most expensive expense, you have to partner. Do not try to do it yourself. Do not try to make it happen. Do not try to dig that ditch. Partner with your biggest expense, rule number one. Think about every business. Baskin needed Robin. Sears needed Roebuck. Steve Jobs needed Steve Wozniak. Steve Ballmer needed Bill Gates. Everyone is a partnership, because you partner with your biggest expense. You partner with your biggest deficit. You don't try to do it yourself. You focus on your strengths, not your weaknesses.
Damn. Now I see why we got to tune into DM me.
Yo, I'm trying to help all the... Yo, DM me. I tell people, DM me at Doug Melville on my Instagram, and I will answer the questions for you. Come on the show. I'm trying to get everybody to level up, tighten up, and look forward and not down. There's a lot of change that's happened in the last few years. I tell people this is the best analogy for our time today. We were all playing chess. Then Donald Trump became the president of the United States, and he went like this to the chessboard. And everybody's piece is all over the place. Some people moved ahead, some people moved behind, but very few people are in the exact same place. Yeah. So you just have to learn how to rework your piece and understand the new chessboard and, move on and move ahead.
Now, in the case of the people that you mentioned that partnered, a lot of them were probably in almost a similar state. So when you say partner with your greatest expense, right, you can't shoot above, I don't want to put limitations, but can you shoot above your...
Now, this is a subject that is not meant to be controversial, but it is a point of note. A lot of people partner with their partner. So you marry your biggest expense. So if you look in the case of when you need funding or people that start companies, they don't necessarily position it that way, but a lot of women in particular are marrying finance people, investors, venture capitalists, and then those individuals are their first seed capital to start their company. They have money and don't have the idea. They have the idea but don't have the capital. Because the biggest part of the game right now is access to capital. And a lot of times people just marry it.
This is brilliant.
Yeah, no, but it's happening all the time.
Next time you see me, especially at the cup events, you gonna who is this? That's not Colleen. Yes, That is colon, and I'm single, just so y'all know. Keep that in mind, everyone.
Yeah.
But no, that's
how it works. But now it's not positioned that way, because you could always read into it and you could say, oh, well, that's a sexist way to look at it, or that's not really why they got together. I'm not into all the details. Honest, look, I'm just saying.
You're not into all the details, but what doesn't make a better situationship than an entrepreneur and a finance person? That's like the best marriage. Pass the tea and give me some game. That's a perfect relationship.
It's why it works. And there was a woman that I won't mention her name, but she is a pretty celebrated executive, and she was at a conference and someone asked her a question, said, how did you become a CEO of this big company? And she said, I married well. We got the sitters, we got the neighborhood, I was built into the golf course ecosystem, paid for my school, gave me the network, and now we made it together. It's not negative, but because a lot of people marry the wrong partner or you miss that opportunity, it's hard to go back, using the canvas example, because once your canvas has colors on it, the amount of opportunity that you get is less, because you have to go back on your canvas and reset. If you got married and I got married and everyone got married at 20 to the right partner, geez, just compound interest 50 years from now, you own half the town. Dang. Just on the law of numbers. But because we stay single longer, because we're out here flexing, because we try with a partner, it doesn't work, because people have 1-2 opportunities, then they don't want to do it again. So all that kind of takes away from the opportunity that time can give you. So if you marry someone who is your opposite, there's an opportunity there to build together, and it's positive.
When I say the game on this episode is crazy, I haven't even covered all of it yet. Is the Parmesan ready?
Oh, look at this. We have to eat the rice.
We have to heat the rice.
Oh, it looks delicious. Looks like it needs some more cheese.
Okay, so guys, we're back in. The food is hot and ready. Can you go ahead and start serving it?
Welcome to Italy.
Well,
today we have a chicken nugget Parmesan. Look how fresh that is. I don't know what part of the chicken is the nugget, but it is quite fresh. We're going to have this beautiful spatula. Mm-hmm. And then can I plate you first?
Yeah, plate me first.
Hello.
And then
plate you first.
I don't want to cut into your cooking, but go ahead and serve. I'm just so about your story right. Ooh, it looks. Did we overcook it?
Probably, but we just got to get this knife game.
It looked like he got
I don't want any problems here. There is no serving knife on Eating While Broke, because if you are broke, likely you don't have a serving knife. Okay, so we're going to get this cut here. This is the 4 nugget quantity lasagna. They actually had it as lasagna, which really was an upgrade. I don't think it is. Okay, we have this. Okay, we have a little there. And then we have some white rice here, because you got to put a little extra starch on it. This bowl is so hot that I'm burning my hand. The skin is going to be on this plate. For the love of everything I know, that bowl is so hot. Okay?
I'm so sorry.
That's perfect. Okay, here you go.
Okay, awesome. This looks good.
All right, I'm going to plate a little of mine, and I'm clearly not going to touch that rice before I end my career on Eating While Broke.
So we stuck it to the bottom. Is there a key to not get it stuck to the bottom?
Yeah, have
use
some
nonstick.
LOL, 6th ingredient. Okay.
Okay.
All right, we're going to plate that. It does look dry. I mean, it does look like it needs some more sauce, but we're just working with what we got over here.
Didn't I say what in the...
No, you did say it needs more sauce. But,
tea is going on here.
I would actually pour...
I want some more sauce, for sure.
I'm pouring some more on.
I want sauce and cheese. Let's do it.
I'm going to do more sauce and cheese. Here you go.
Okay, so I hate to be all up in your beeswax, but the dish looks great, but catch me up on what happens with magic.
So I write these business plans, and I get contacted from someone I know who works at Magic Johnson Enterprises. And I take an interview in New York City, and I pass the interview, and I get hired to work as president for one of Mr. Johnson's companies. It was his marketing company. And that changed my whole life. And the person who made the introduction to me was the person I interned for at Quest Records. So all these relationships, and that was what I learned about this process. The impossible takes time, but in time you can accomplish the impossible. So, okay.
I am dying to eat this, okay?
All right, so we got this chicken. Now, I don't want to hear TikTok. Come for me. If you can make a better chicken McNugget Parmesan than this, then please step up your game. But until then, we are going to have some chicken nugget Parm. Let's see how this is. I'm not sure what that face meant, but
it's like, in theory, it sounded great.
I actually think it's good.
But this is a definite...
It's bringing back so many memories for me. I'm thinking this meal is fire. Now, it's not Mastro's or Mr. Chow's.
If you're hungry...
My favorite restaurant's Avra, Mamo's in New York. And I can tell you what, they would not let me back in if I told them that I cooked this Italian dish here, but okay. Coming from someone who's eaten hundreds of broke meals and getting that face is not a good review.
Look, I'm starving, so I'm going to eat this, but...
I'm blaming the chicken nugget quality.
I think it's like we either overcooked it, maybe we should have like took it straight out the oven or whatever. But I think if you had more seasonings, respectfully, you could have murdered this dish. This is definitely what in the caucasity has happened. I think if you would have used even fried rice, but the white rice makes it more bland. You
very bland.
You caucasity
This
the hell
is
out of
very
this.
bland. But that's how I like my food. That's the thing. The thing is, I built this for my personal taste buds. I just met your taste buds today. I don't know about those taste buds. I don't know where they came from. I don't know their superpower.
I'm Jamaican, man. You know they can't.
Oh, if you're Jamaican, we might as well wrap this whole show right now because this is not going to work for you. But
I give this dish
chicken McNugget Parm, people are sleeping on it.
Look,
what if I eat it by making a lot of noise?
Look, we're gonna have Katie once the cameras go. We're gonna have Katie rate the dish. Sorry, Katie, but she's
Watch this.
She's look.
What if you do this?
If you're hungry and you need something filling that has more calories, this is it. I do think more seasoning and straight out the oven. I think we messed up his dish by overcooking it. I think if we didn't overcook it, I definitely think the chicken nuggets by McDonald's would have been better. So don't do the breaded at home. I'm gonna give this dish like a 4 out of 10.
Woo! Study long, study wrong.
But let me tell you something. This interview, certified 10 out of 10. One of my top favorites of all time. Most gems in one episode. Haven't even finished. So who cares if you could cook?
I cannot.
Who cares? Nobody cares. No one's marrying you for your cooking. So that's great.
That's right. If you marry me for my cooking, we might as well just file the divorce at the same day. 2 for 1. But truth be told, I haven't made this since college and I don't cook. I eat out every meal. Because I learned really bad habits going on tour.
Okay.
Year after year after year, when you have caterers and everything, you just get so used to eating out that, you just don't necessarily learn how to cook. So I don't even really, if cooking is partner with your biggest expense, I am definitely not bringing any cooking to the table.
But you want to know something? That means for all the women out there, we just found out his Achilles heel because I'm sure cooking is his biggest expense, which means you should marry a cook.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Just saying, I know how to season some things.
Oh, okay.
I'll just not season yours.
Okay, yeah. Start from the back.
Okay, so tell us about Magic Johnson and Magic and that whole experience.
life-changing. He was the one who really told me to focus on my strengths and not my weaknesses. He brought me into his circle. He taught me how to be a presenter. He taught me how to be a businessman of color. He told me how to work the room. He told me how to be relatable. He taught me he taught me everything a young executive could ever want. Like if Tommy Hilfiger was my master's degree in marketing, Irvin Magic Johnson was my PhD. He showed me everything, helped me travel the world. It was the first time I was even in a private jet. And he's like, Doug, do you know what FPO airports are? Like, I didn't even know how millionaires move good.
Well, neither do I currently, so.
Yeah, so, okay, well, they don't eat this.
So what exactly was your role for him?
I was on his executive team. I headed up his business development team for 2 years, and I was the president of his marketing company for 2 years. So I had a seat at the table in so many different meetings with our partners, with our all of our alliances, and we would work on his speaking engagements, his corporate partners, his philanthropy, and his appearances. So he had a really full schedule, and it was an amazing gift.
And what was your biggest takeaway from that?
My biggest takeaway from him was you cannot control what you cannot control, but what you can control, you need to be aware of and control it well. So he would give examples that if I know you're good at this, then I'm going to feed you the opportunity right here.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you're going to work after to be better, if you're going to improve on weekends, if you're going to take certification classes to get better. But I know right now you're great right here. So I'm going to feed you where you are great.
Okay.
Double down on great, 10,000 hours, 20,000 hours to be exceptional. So he taught me, get some of the noise out and focus on exactly what you're great at. If you can earn enough money doing that, then you can pay for the experts to work around you that could fill that in, and that's how you build and scale a company. But he also taught me about scale. He taught me how to move in rooms with CEOs, the value of board of directors, compensation for your time, how to set up a speaking engagement, how to tell a story. I mean, the guy changed my whole life. I mean, it's hard to even explain, his impact on me.
What I find most interesting about a lot of these men that you're working with is that it seemed like, for lack of a better word, they wanted you to excel past whatever they were initially bringing
They
you
saw
out.
in me much more than I saw in myself. Like working with the Hilfiger family, they were fashion, music, entertainment in their own way, but Tommy Hilfiger and Andy Hilfiger and Magic Johnson were very similar. One of 8, grew up in the suburbs, blue collar families. Like they both came from very similar backgrounds in a way. I mean, and not to compare them, but they had the one person in their family was the one that was going to drive and elevate, the whole family in general. And to have the opportunity to work under both of them was just a gift.
Wow.
That they were my first 2 real mentors to learn business, fashion, sports. I mean, you can't learn from smarter people than they have.
Did you actually call them mentors, or was that just something you put in your head?
After I worked for them, I mean, while they were still signing my check, I remember the first check that Tommy Hilfiger wrote me with his actual signature on it, I have framed in my house. And the first check Magic Johnson wrote to me, I have framed in my house because I was like, they actually signed the check. These 2 people.
That's pretty dope.
That I feel are like, don't even know that they're real, signed my actual check under paid from the order. And I said, I can't believe it. Okay. I came from the couch.
Okay, so where did you pivot to after that?
So after my time with Magic Johnson expired, but it was a mutual separation, and we still communicate. But my time was up there. I had worked there for 3 years, and I decided to actually, my immediate follow-up was to work back for Tommy Hilfiger because he was starting a capital management company. And this was not to work with him in fashion, but more in the finance investing space. and I decided to start my own company. Now,
I just want to backtrack and not trying to cut you off, but what happened to the original company you started, the media marketing company?
if are we editing this or we're just talking through what happened?
Well,
okay, so when I leave Magic Johnson, I had an aha moment. He had a speaking engagement up at Google headquarters. And after the speaking engagement, I got a chance to talk to Sergey Brin and Larry Page. They were the co-founders of Google. They came out. One of them was from Michigan, where Mr. Johnson grew up. So they had requested him to come to the office to do a speaking engagement. So it was one of my last assignments before leaving. And I went up to Google headquarters. And after the speech, we were walking down the hall, and I had asked one of them, I said, if you had one idea for a young entrepreneur to do, what would it be? I'm like, you guys started Google. If you had one idea for an entrepreneur, because I knew when I left I was going to go on my own. And he goes, you should start a business backwards based on keyword search. And I said, what? And he goes, there's a website we have called Google Labs that shows you every single advertising category and what words people search that aren't trademarked. What you should do is you should find whatever category you like, and you should start a business backwards. So I went home that night and I went to entertainment, and the most searched term under entertainment was red carpets. So I go to GoDaddy and I pay $4,400 for the domain redcarpets.com. I have no clue what this is going to do. I don't know what I'm selling. I don't know anything about it. And I call my best friend Bill, who I had my company with before, and I said, Bill, we're going to bring the company back, but we're going to pivot it, and it's going to be called redcarpets.com. And he goes, what does redcarpets.com do? And I go, Bill, you always ask so many questions. We're calling it redcarpets.com. So we have a meeting. Colleen, we have a meeting. What is this website going to sell? Now, what they had told us at Google was, if you start a URL that's an exact match for a term people search, it will always show up first in the natural search. So if more people are searching red carpets than anything else, then they're going to go to your website. So we were like, well, what do we sell? Photo rights? Do we do like a thing where you could watch J-Lo and all her red carpet? We're like coming up with all these wonky ideas. And we're like, not going to work, stupid, dumb. We're like up at night sweating, definitely not eating this, but we're sweating. We're eating pizza, maybe ramen. And we're trying to come up with the answer. And then we have an aha moment. What if we sold red carpets?
That's actually that's brilliant.
And we were like, what if we actually sold red carpets?
This is too funny.
So we were like, well, who makes these red carpets? So we go to Home Depot and we're like, can we buy red carpet? And they're like, no, young man, you can't buy red carpets. We don't sell red. So we started going to all these places and we realized no one sold red carpet.
Even more brilliant. This is crazy.
So we find that there's one guy in Atlanta, Georgia. It's Duluth, Georgia, that makes all the carpet in America that's colored. Orange, yellow, red, green. And we find who they're working with and we say to him, what if we made a website where you could design how much red carpet you need? And then the phones were coming out that were vertical. And we said, then you could have a backdrop and then we could ship it together like a yoga mat. We'll roll up the red carpet and then we'll put the backdrop in a tube and then we mail it to you and you could press it against the wall. The backdrop with your logos come down and now you have a square. And because your phone is vertical, you could take a picture and you could be in the kitchen, but people could think you're a celebrity. Mm-hmm. So we're like, this is genius. I swear to you on my life, we went 3 years and did not sell one of these carpets.
Man, I thought this story was going to have a way different.
3 years goes by. We don't sell one carpet. People are coming to the website. Where are the photos of this person on the red carpet? Do you rent? No. Why would anybody want a square carpet? This idea is ridiculous. So him and I are looking at each other. So I'm investing all the money that I've made into this idea. I'm getting quarters out of the couch. I'm eating dollar pizza. I'm cutting Chipotle bowls in half. Things are looking icy. Okay? 3 years we don't sell one of these carpets. And he's looking at me and goes, well, we did have a vision. We had a commitment to an idea. We had a vision. We had all of it. And then we get a phone call from Clarins Cosmetics. And they go, we need to get more people to come to our retail desks at malls and in department stores. And we want people to try on the product and then take a picture. Can we make an order for $3 million of red carpet and backdrops for every single one of our retail locations?
What the fuck? I would have been so. I would have almost passed.
$3.1 million.
Did you believe
yeah, we believed it. Well, we sell it. We sell $3.1 million of red carpet. We had not sold one red carpet.
This is a crazy
We sell
story.
$3.1 million of red carpets, and then the first thing we say is, we can't get the product. We don't have any money.
Well, can't you take that to the, what happens next?
I have to go to the bank of mom and dad.
Oh, heck no. I know Papa Dukes was not happy about this.
BOMD. I had to go to the bank of mom and dad, and I go, Dad, I wore a suit.
What'd you say? BOMD? What'd you say?
Bank of mom and dad.
Oh.
Yo, that's my bank. So I went right to my mom and dad. I had a suit on, and I said, hello, Dad. I would like to have a meeting today with the judge and his wife. And I set up the kitchen. I had jazz music playing, bossa nova. I'm like, set
And
it
they
up.
know you've been struggling the last 3 years.
Oh, my dad's like, bro, your commitment to this dumb idea of selling carpets is ridiculous. They were like, you were an executive for Irving Magic Johnson. They were like, we met him. We know it. Why are you selling carpet? I'm filling out my taxes, rug salesman. They're like, dude, you have made the greatest error in history. So now I have taken the bonds out of the Bible that my parents had. Like, you know, they have those emergency bonds from Nona where they're like, we have $100 we had saved since the Reconstruction. I had spent all that money. Everything's gone. And I go, guys, I need a loan. They said, how much money do you need? I need $500,000.
Oh, man. I'm sure they laughed you out that kitchen.
My mom was like, honey, don't do it. This is her retirement. And my dad's like, I believe in you. You have gone this far.
Wait, did you tell him that you got the sales order
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything?
No, I had to show him the receipt.
Okay, got
I had
it.
to present the billing, the sales. And my mom's like, what if they don't pay? You know, but I needed $500,000 to get the stuff.
What?
We have to deliver it. It has to be. So my mom and dad get in an argument right in front of me. You're going to take away our retirement. You can't trust these kids. Money is a gift. It's not a loan. Kids never pay us back. You remember this person. And then, you know, your mom remembers everybody whose kids didn't pay back their parents from the meeting that they had with them at dinner. You remember, you know, this family didn't pay back. My friend, this didn't pay back. And I'm like, okay. My dad's like, we believed in him this far. Here's the $500,000. My dad deposits $500,000 in my bank account. We fulfill the order. We sell the order. Next thing you know, reality shows. I was dating a woman at the time, and she was on The Bachelor. And her job, when we broke up, when she went on The Bachelor, it said spokesman for Redcarpets.com. So now ABC airs every day. People are going to redcarpets.com. Next thing you know, New York Post does a feature, hottest trend, the Real Housewives of New Jersey. Next thing you know, we're selling these redcarpets.com, red carpet in a bag, like by the thousands. boom, boom, boom. We're getting multi-million sales. The idea is working. We build a studio in New York City, a red carpet studio.
Pause for 1 second. I have to go back to the parents.
And I just want to say, at this point, we are selling more than just red. We have 27 colors.
You're hilarious.
Green, AstroTurf, white.
How long did it take for your parents to get the money back, and how did it feel paying them back?
Well, when I got the money back and I went to go pay my parents back, my dad was like, "Keep the money."
Oh, your mom.
And my mom
you guys
was
are doing
like,
too much to your
and
mom.
my mom was like, "Honey," and then I gave him the money back.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was like, "You better not."
Yeah, but my dad was like blown away. He was like, "Holy!"
Papa Dukes. You know, I love both. I
Yeah.
love the yin and the yang, but yeah, I don't put your mama through that.
No, my mom's my best friend. My dad's my, right hand man. So they're still alive and, living their life. But
That's
now it's all
hilarious.
funny to talk about. But see, this is the thing about me. I'm 11 and 12 years younger than my brother and sister because my mom's tubes were tied for 10 years. And when my mom got pregnant, it was a 99.9% chance when a woman gets her tubes tied that she can still conceive. And they were on their honeymoon in Niagara Falls, and they came back, and my mom was like, "What?" And she goes to the doctor, and the doctor goes, "Well, there's two things I want to tell you. 99.9, and it worked for 10 years. But now you have to make a decision. What do you want to do with this baby?" And my mom goes, "You will never know the conversation with your husband." Well, I will never know a conversation with any husband, but you'll never know the conversation with a husband when you have an 11 and 12-year-old and you're pregnant. And now the decision is, do you keep the baby or not? So they decided to keep me, but I think this was like, if we've gone this far, let's, let it ride.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. That's a real, I don't know how I snuck through that thing.
Bruh,
Tied
you
to
got
some
determined.
tight.
What they say, God knows the steps, or I'm gonna butcher. I butcher a quote in the Bible, just so you know. But that's an incredible story. So Redcarpets.com sells a lot of red carpets.
Yep. So now we sell all the red carpets, and actually we provide the red carpet.
Is it still going on?
Yep. 15 years. It's the #1 online retailer of event carpet in the United States of America. It's 15 years.
You didn't even say that in the resume. That long-ass resume.
Because my buddy Bill runs it, and it's
He's like, and every month I get money while I sleep.
Well, during COVID, it wasn't looking too good. It was looking icy. We went 3 years, we couldn't sell a smile. But we came back strong. There's no smiles on sale. And now it's redcarpets.com. We have 27 different colors of carpet.
That's crazy.
We have step and repeat. We do trade shows, events. You just go up there, design it, drop ships. Next thing you know, you got to step and repeat.
I feel like I've placed orders with redcarpets.com.
It's possible.
For my events.
We provide the carpet for the Met Gala.
Look
the
at
White
you.
House,
You dropping. You
Emmys.
dust them shoulders off, Doug.
But see, we're not a production company, so we don't actually install it. But we actually create the carpet or the material. The Met Gala doesn't actually use carpet because it sticks to the
And you're still
stairs.
partnered with the guy?
Yeah. I own the company.
In Atlanta, I mean, the guy.
Oh, yeah. Our carpet guy, yeah. Because, so American carpet, or when you think of the red carpet, it's 1 inch twilled, pulled, recycled nylon that is dyed in Georgia. So in Georgia, that's like the carpet capital of the United States. When you get carpet from other countries, they have a different process. That's why people want American red carpet. So the first red carpet was rolled out in 458 BC, Agamemnon. And there is a reference. And red carpet actually historically would come when people would rush a castle, and then people would shoot the people from the castle to stop them from coming in. Their blood was the entrance of the castle. So in 458 BC, having a red carpet was just like a red trail, which meant that your castle was powerful because the blood of the people that couldn't come in was at the door. That was how the tradition started. Then they used colored berries and fruits to dye materials red so you could have the regalness of the red carpet.
Wow.
So President Monroe heard about this tradition and rolled out the red carpet in the United States. And he was the first president to hear about this tradition and use the red carpet on U.S. soil. Then it started with the Egyptian theater here in California. Sid Grauman took what he had read about the president and took about what he had read about history and created the red carpet entrance in Hollywood. But the interesting thing about it was the first red carpet was rolled out in Hollywood when there was only black and white television and black and white photography. So no one actually saw it red.
Wow.
And then over the course of time, it's become like standard for all the different events. So I became a red carpet historian, and we still sell thousands of red carpets every day, all day. We should red carpet this whole place. You need step and repeats, boom, boom.
You're hilarious.
Logo wall, pow.
So what's the pivot after that?
So we're selling the red carpets, and I was tired of being a carpet salesman.
Okay.
I did not want to be an entrepreneur. I did not want to sell carpets. I was tired of running around. I felt like a salmon constantly swimming upstream. You have to sell everybody on the idea. You have to build technology, data. You have to track it, drop ship, set up, insurance. Like, it was just a lot of job, just over broke. It was a lot of job, and I didn't feel like it was fulfilling my superpower.
Okay.
So I get an opportunity. I get a phone call to interview for this new position on Madison Avenue. I'm in New York at the time, and it was called Chief Diversity Officer. I had never heard of that job in my whole life. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know if it was full-time. I was like, what is this job? And they're like, Doug, you are going to help work with our company and our clients on ensuring we are inclusive in all of our messages. Now, when we first started this idea, it was more around making sure that all the marketing and all the imagery that we were creating for clients was inclusive. So our clients were PepsiCo and Apple and Nissan, McDonald's. And
all right, no, I don't want to continue with the story. Sorry.
And I started working with them because at the time in 2012, there wasn't a lot of diversity officers. Mm-hmm. So they were like, Doug, maybe you could work with our clients. And I would work with them to ensure all their messaging was holistic. There was nothing that could be interpreted as stereotypes in the scripts because we're making their television commercials. Mm-hmm. So I did that for several years. And then I got a phone call to go to Geneva, Switzerland, and do it internationally. So I got a call from a holding group, and they asked me if I would want to relocate to Geneva, Switzerland, and head up diversity internationally for this luxury company. And in that position, I traveled to 40 countries to understand what is diversity around the world. Is it family status? Is it socioeconomic? What is it that triggers it? Because this is when I became a reputation management expert. What do companies and individuals need to observe to ensure that they don't have any reputational risks in the market for their brand, their name, and their likeness? So this is when I started lecturing at Stanford Graduate School of Business on reputation management. This is when I started working with Forbes to start to write stories around what companies were delivering on their promise. And this is when I signed my book deal with Simon & Schuster. I'm under Charlemagne the God's Black Privilege Publishing. How can I start to tell stories to people to inspire them around what they could do to build themselves up and be more positive? Because a lot of people look at this as negative. Oh, I don't like diversity, or companies aren't always guessing right. But the thing about it is you can't solve a problem and complain about a problem at the same time. If a company brings you in because they have a problem, then you need to solve said problem and deliver it as if it's an opportunity. But people like to create problems and then try to solve them at the same time, or they look at a company and say, oh, look at the company messed up. Well, I'm the person there to fix it. So I can't be the person who's there looking at anything negatively. You brought me in the team, all my life experiences together. So I like to help people move through the rooms and make sure their reputation is right. And one of the stories that I have never told on a podcast, but I write about it in my book, was I worked with Pepsi to retire Aunt Jemima.
Yeah, you briefly mentioned that when I met you. Can you tell me more about it?
Yeah, so obviously Aunt Jemima is no longer on the packaging, but there was an insight around Aunt Jemima, and PepsiCo was one of our clients, and I started collecting Aunt Jemima memorabilia. So I have over 100 pieces of like really iffy Aunt Jemima stuff from 40, 50, 60 years ago, because it was really like a blackface doll. And when Aunt Jemima started, they used to call the product Slave in a Box because it was implemented right after the Emancipation Proclamation.
Wow.
So it ended up getting changed to Aunt Jemima, and then there was different imagery along the way. And
they actually labeled it Slave in a Box?
There's a book you could read all about it. It's called Slave in a Box.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Jesus. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, we worked with them, and then when they agreed to retire Aunt Jemima, we'd had a conversation if they would call the other food companies so we could retire all the food mascots. So Land O'Lakes, Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben, Rastus from Cream of Wheat, Mrs. Buttersworth, and Eskimo Pie were all retired in the same 90-day period. So that's why there's no more food mascots, was the inspiration that I drove around reputation.
Wow.
Yeah, I messed up your kitchen. All the fun characters are gone. But they weren't getting paid.
The mascots weren't?
No, the family. So like
the family, yeah.
Chef Boyardee's a real person. He shares in the profits. Paul Newman's estate shares in the profits. But a lot of times women and people of color are labeled mascots on food, so they don't get any percentage of the sales. Famous Amos. I could go down the line.
Famous Amos doesn't get a percentage of the sales?
No, he never did. He was a mascot.
What?
Yep.
So when you go to the store and you buy a product and you think, hey, this is benefiting, it wasn't?
No, the Chiquita Banana lady that's like doing her thing, she's still trying to get royalties. Also, the Pineapple Dole lady, they're still trying to get royalties. But they're labeled as mascots. So see, these are the things you have to look at that are nuanced. And not everybody's eyes are open to it.
I'm glad you kicked these... Bye, Felicia. Yeah, you did your thing.
There was a lot more emails and presents.
I was going to say,
I kicked them, but it was really more emails and meetings and
but how
more
hard
diplomacy.
Was it to do?
It took a team, but I had an ally within PepsiCo that was really working to help move this forward, so it was positive.
I hate to be a race person, but was that team, what was their...
Well, the person who was most against retiring Aunt Jemima internally at the time was a person of color. And the person...
After she knew the history?
It was a he.
After he knew the history?
Sexist. But after... and the person that was my ally was not a person of color. I mean, I don't know if it matters so much, but it was someone who was just like, we can't have this here.
Okay.
Yeah. But the person who wanted to keep it was a person of color.
And they knew the history, though.
They said it was the greatest spokesperson in the history of entrepreneurship.
Wow. Okay. Wow, you covered all the land that I needed to cover.
Yeah, and then I wrote a book after leaving Switzerland, and it became a bestseller. It's called Invisible Generals.
You guys should check it out. I already started reading it. It's very easy read. Another thing I wanted to cover was Cup. Sorry, not trying to jump over.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Cup.
So I now serve as the executive director. I think a big part of everyone's success needs to be working with nonprofits. I think when people say, what's the best way to move, What's the best way I could grow? What's the best thing I should do for my career? My answer 100% of the time is marry well. But if you can't do that, participate in nonprofits. So earlier this year, I was appointed to serve as the executive director of the Council of Urban Professionals, which is a nonprofit organization, a 501c, that specializes in leadership development and mid-level career development across different industries. So most nonprofits are vertical, but CUP is horizontal. So we have 40% finance, venture banking. We have about 25% legal and law, around 25% tech and sports, 25% entertainment or so, and a growing number of entrepreneurs. So we have this pie that may or may not add up to 100, which is what I just was thinking in my mind. Mm-hmm. But we have this pie of people, and these individuals are a lot of the movers and the shakers across these industries, and they're very diverse, all different representations, but you get a really good community, and most importantly, you get relationship building. The number one way, if you look at hiring today, the number one area companies are hiring today is the new collar worker. This is somebody who is great at relationships and also has a hard skill. Soft skill, hard skill, on top of AI fluency. So what's happening now, people that are good at AI do not necessarily have a good soft skills or hard skills. Mm-hmm. People that are good at hard skills may not be good at AI. But the new collar worker, and I wrote about this in Forbes, and we could put the article in the link, is someone that's good at hard skills, soft skills, and AI. And the only way you're going to really start finding these new relationships is by working with nonprofits that cross-pollinate these individuals in the same room, so you could start to understand where there's opportunities. So I was in Davos earlier this year, and I was talking to a lot of different executives, and one of the things that came up was, where are they hiring? And one of the areas that they're hiring is through relationships. So the data shows that somewhere around 74% or more of every single job filled in 2025 was through a relationship, not through a job posting. So where are you going to build these relationships? Working with 501cs like Council of Urban Professionals. So I found it my duty and honor to serve as the executive director, so we could take this community of 19,000 people, New York, LA, Martha's Vineyard, and DC, more joining from around the world, but primarily those markets, and help build and elevate communities so we can work together to build off each other and create more opportunities.
Okay, I have just a couple more questions, and then we're going to have to
We're way
wrap
over
it up.
time.
Yep, sorry.
This was not very good, by the way.
Give me an example of...
I know this is a cooking show,
hard
and
and
let me tell you
soft
something.
skills.
No. Okay, sorry.
Hard and soft skills. Just one example of each.
Hard skill is more data driven. It's a very specific, it could be a trade, you could say plumbing, or you could say contracting, but in my world, it would be more like producing, graphic designer. It would be an accountant, finance, operations. It could be any hard, more digital, tangible skill. Mm-hmm. And a soft skill is relationship building through presentation, marketing, PR, networking, connecting, personable. So you need the combination of both. And historically, they've been separate. But because AI is coming up as the great equalizer, it's now your responsibility to have both. And all three of those together are called the new collar worker.
I 100% agree with that. I tell people, because there's a part of the world that's like, I don't mess with AI, or creatives that are like, I don't mess with AI. And I'm like, I think you guys are looking at AI differently. If you are skilled in a certain field, you can use AI as the steroids in your battery pack.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to communicate with AI, there lies the problem, along with a lack of expertise. I don't think AI can fully replace someone, but I definitely think it could be the steroids or the battery pack that you need. I love AI.
Yeah.
Like I would personally marry a AI if I could.
Oh, wow. Hello.
Not after this conversation. Okay, and then one other thing I wanted.
can cook better than this chicken McNugget Parm, I can tell you.
Before we wrap, I do want to know, how can people join Cup? Like, what's the process? What does that look like?
You can go to cupusa.org and you could just write us a quick note and join our email list, and we're going to start our formal membership later in the year. So we come up on 20 years next year, and we want to make sure to tighten our membership base. So we're going to go to a full membership model. Right now, anybody could join for free, but we are
joining right now.
You got to join right now.
Right now.
So just go to cupusa.org, and we have incredible sponsors. We have incredible partners. You were at the event yesterday.
I was at the event. I was blown away.
We had John Hope Bryant, a fellow Black Effect. I was like, I'm on Black Effect. He's like, I am one of the investors and sit on the board with Charlemagne. John. I was like, bro.
He said that?
Yeah, he walked in like, woo!
Let me tell you something, guys. I've been trying to get John for so long. Thanks to Doug, we were able to... Hey, man, you gonna talk to me?
I love that guy. It was my first time really talking to him yesterday.
We got him. He's gonna be on Eating While Broke, just so you know, and hopefully with Cup too, in front of Cup
we're gonna do a live studio audience.
Yeah, we should totally do that. But thank you guys for tuning in. Keep up with everything, Doug Melville.
She keeps calling me Doug Melvin.
It's, you know what, I did.
She doesn't like the end of the name. She doesn't.
Melville. DM me with Doug.
Yeah, DM me with Doug Melville. Yeah. Why do you say DM me like it's so hard? You know, you'd be telling these dudes to DM me. You know how to say it.
Let me tell you something.
Let it roll off your tongue. You say DM me. DM me.
You know how people have their DMs popping? My DM, there is zero activity. And I talked to a guy about it. I said, I don't understand. Everyone
you don't have any activity in your DMs?
My DMs, I mean, I get like business stuff, but I've never got like, hey, what's up? It never has ever happened in my DMs. And someone said it's the way you set up your profile. Like, it doesn't look like you're DMable, I guess. Who cares? Anyways.
I'm the closest DM you've ever gotten. Dad jokes available now. DougMelville.com. Book of dad jokes.
Okay, where can everybody keep up with everything, Doug?
Oh, yeah. Just DM me on Instagram at Doug Melville. You go to DougMelville.com or LinkedIn Doug Melville. I mean, it's just the same name everywhere, but the most important thing is, if you need to pivot your career, if you need some support, DM me. I'll bring you on the podcast. And we kick off May 19th, and we're going to be on and popping. So I'm happy to be on Black Effect, happy to have my new work colleague. And my book comes out, my next book in the chapter. So I'm writing a trilogy, and my next chapter comes out January 26th on Black Privilege Publishing. Pre-sales are in June.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace out.
All right.